Imagine a garage where the engines roar louder than the crowd at WrestleMania, where chrome reflects championship gold, and every car is built to flex just like the Hulkster himself. Welcome to Hulk Hogan's Muscle Car Kingdom, where American steel meets wrestling legend, and the horsepower is as unstoppable as the man behind the wheel. Buckle up, because in today's video, we're about to step inside one of the wildest celebrity car collections on the planet. 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. We'll begin with the beast Hulk calls his date car, a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner, red with black stripes, a ride that screams classic Mopar muscle from every angle. Built on Chrysler's B-body platform, the 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner was made for guys who wanted to light up the back tires without emptying their wallets. And Hulk loves that vibe. No frills? You bet. Bench seats, vinyl floor instead of carpet, manual steering, and four-wheel drum brakes. It's precisely how Plymouth wanted it. Lightweight, straightforward, and ready to haul with that Roadrunner horn, Hulk probably lays on every chance he gets. It came in 3 flavors: hardtop, pillared coupe, and convertible. Hulk's choice packs muscle, not fluff. And you can just picture him dropping the hammer on a Florida street with the wind tearing through that convertible top. Under the hood, you could get it with a 383, the monstrous 426 Hemi, or the mid-year 440A 12 6-pack. The 383 came standard with a Carter 4-barrel carb, capable of producing 335 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 425 pound-feet of torque at 3,400 RPM. Of course, the 426 Hemi was the king, churning out 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and the same torque as the 6-pack, but with a roar that could scare the neighbor's cat 3 blocks down. You got your choice of either the A727 TorqueFlite 3-speed auto or the A8 33 4-speed manual. And knowing Hulk's taste, there's a good chance he's rocking that 4-speed so he can slam gears himself. Plymouth expected to sell maybe 20,000 units, but they moved nearly 45,000 because folks like Hulk couldn't pass up the deal. It was cheaper than a GTX, and if you had the guts, you could add that 714 Hemi option, which was no small change in '69, but worth every penny for those who wanted to lay waste to the boulevard. The mid-year 446 pack gave even more choice for those who didn't quite want Hemi maintenance, but wanted the punch, making this year one of the best for Roadrunner options ever. Knowing Hulk, he's likely made a few personal touches under the hood while keeping that classic look. Maybe a modern battery to keep it alive in the Florida humidity, but the soul of this Roadrunner is still old-school Mopar thunder, just the way it should be. This is not all. There's more to come. But before then, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video if you're a fan of raw V8 power and rare muscle machines. 1968 Dodge Charger RT. Rolling into another heavyweight in Hulk Hogan's collection, you've got the 1968 Dodge Charger RT, a car that looks like it's ready to chase down Steve McQueen in Bullitt any day of the week. Hogan is known for adding his personal touches to his cars, and with the Charger, he has kept it simple yet purposeful. There's a power switch hidden behind the driver's side headlight, a classic Hulk move, making sure the battery doesn't drain, and he keeps it hooked to a trickle charger, always ready to fire up and rumble. The '68 Charger wasn't just another car off Dodge's line. This was the year Dodge flipped the script, stepping away from the Marlin-like fastback of previous years and bringing in a design that turned heads in every dealership lot. The body lines were clean, aggressive, and aerodynamic, taking inspiration from the racing world with that nose-down stance and bulging fenders ready to swallow drag slicks or NASCAR meets with ease. Dodge designed the '68 Charger with a camtail, featuring a rear spoiler integrated into a truncated end, which gave it the wind-cheating edge that made it look fast, even when sitting still. They slapped on a tunnel-type backlight instead of a pure fastback, giving it a Ferrari Le Mans vibe from the rear, while reducing the glare and distortion that plagued full fastback windows. Visual details made this Charger stand out. A racing-style gas cap, high on the left rear quarter, low-mounted driving lights and turn signals, a matte black finish around the grille and taillights, hood vents that doubled as turn signal indicators, and fat tires on 6-inch rims. Every inch of the Charger was designed to let folks know it meant business. Chrysler wasn't just making cars, they were making statements. This was their way of telling America they were back in the game, making cars that were declarations of speed, style, and rebellion. The '68 Charger came at a time when Detroit was learning how to build specialty cars that didn't have to please everyone, just the right people. Guys like Hulk Hogan, and every car lover who gets goosebumps when they hear that V8 rumble. 1966 Chevrolet Caprice. Hulk Hogan calls this beast the Devil's Car. His 1966 Chevrolet Caprice.
I know I'm a Mopar man, but all I gotta say, with the 427, the big 10 red lines on the back, 8s on the front,
is a hardtop rolling deep in black paint with scarlet pinstriping so sharp it looks like it could cut you just by looking at it. Hogan's got a soft spot for this ride, especially with its massive 7.0-liter V8 engine under the hood. You can practically hear that engine rumbling from 2 blocks away, shaking the ground like a thunderstorm rolling in off the Florida coast. Rumor has it that the Caprice name came from an upscale New York City restaurant Bob Lund, Chevy's general sales manager, loved to visit. Another story claims it was named after Caprice Chapman, the daughter of auto exec James P. Chapman. Whichever story you believe, the Caprice was born to stand out. In 1966, it came into its own, no longer just an option on the Impala, but a standalone model. Chevy rolled out a 4-door hardtop, a custom hardtop coupe, and 2- and 3-row wagons. Hogan's Caprice is that custom hardtop coupe, and let me tell you, it's got that exclusive formal notchback roofline that screams classic American muscle with a hint of luxury. Caprices came with hand-applied pinstripes that match the interior, a black accented grille, and Caprice badging that let everyone know you weren't just driving a Chevy. You were cruising in the top dog of the lineup. Real wood accents, deep twist carpeting, and premium cloth seats made the interior feel like you were driving in your living room, if your living room had a 427 big block under the hood. Chevy gave it a beefier steel frame, reinforced rocker panels, and a smoother suspension to make it ride like a dream. The standard engine was a 283 cubic inch V8, pushing 195 horsepower. But for those who wanted to live dangerously, there was the big block 396 Hogan's case, the monstrous 427 that made this Caprice a street king. 1994 Dodge Viper RT10. Next up in Hogan's collection is a car that's the physical embodiment of testosterone, the 1994 Dodge Viper RT10, customized in Hulk Hogan's signature red and yellow Hulkster paint scheme. This is the one Hogan himself drove, and it's as loud in attitude as it is in color. Back in the 90s, Dodge wasn't playing around when they built the Viper. They installed an 8.0-liter, naturally aspirated V10 engine under the hood, producing 400 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 465 pound-feet of torque at 3,600 RPM. This beast would launch from 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds and had a top speed of 170 miles per hour. It came with no traction control, no ABS, no airbags, no stability control, and no side windows. The engineers didn't miss these features. They left them out on purpose because this car was designed for the brave. The Viper's cockpit is Spartan, with the T56 6-speed manual ready to test your reflexes, and the side exit exhaust pipes prepared to burn your calves if you're not careful stepping out. It doesn't handle like a refined sports car. It handles like a V10-powered bat out of hell. If you dared to look at the gas pedal in a corner, you'd better be ready to countersteer and pray, or you'd find yourself facing the wrong way faster than you could say anything. Driving the Viper isn't just about speed. It's about control and respect. You don't get in this car to drive lazily down the boulevard. You get in, take a deep breath, and when you turn that key, the V10 roars to life, reminding you that you're about to experience something raw and unfiltered. It's a car that forces you to pay attention, and in return, it gives you an adrenaline rush that's hard to match. Hogan later auctioned it off for $75,000, with the proceeds going to the 50 Legs Foundation, which helps amputees obtain the prosthetics they need.
Here we go, man. Let's raise some money for all these beautiful kids here for 50 Legs. Thank you, guys.
The Hulkster.
That's the kind of move that shows Hogan's heart is as big as his persona, using the raw power of the Viper to give back while sharing the ride with a fan who had the guts to tame the beast. 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Now, stepping into the next heavyweight in Hulk Hogan's collection, we've got something that's nothing short of legendary, the 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda, that'll make Mopar lovers' hearts skip a beat. It's got that massive 426 Hemi V8 under the shaker hood, painted in that wild plum-crazy purple that turns heads from a block away. We're talking 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and a monstrous 490 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM, all connected to a 4-speed manual that lets you feel every ounce of that raw, unfiltered power. That's the kind of setup that takes you from 0 to 60 in about 5.2 to 5.6 seconds. which was downright savage for the early 70s. Top speed? Around 140 miles per hour. But let's be real, most folks were too busy frying tires to find out. Now, if you know your muscle car history, the Cuda was the third generation of the Plymouth Barracuda. And while it shared the E-body platform with the Dodge Challenger, the Hemi Cuda stood in a league of its own. Back in 1969, Plymouth took muscle seriously, sending 50 cars with the 426 Hemi to Hurst Performance to prepare for NHRA and SCCA racing. By the time 1971 rolled around, the Hemi Cuda was the crown jewel of Mopar muscle, with its aggressive quad headlights, bold grille, and those fender gills. The shaker hood wasn't just there to look menacing either. It fed that big Hemi the cool air it needed while vibrating like a beast with every stomp on the gas. Inside, you'd get those eye-grabbing billboard side stripes if you wanted to flex a little harder, and you could even option it with a space-saver collapsible spare tire to make room for your weekend gear runs. But only 7 Hemi Cuda convertibles with a 4-speed manual were ever made in 1971, making them nearly impossible to find. One sold for over $2 million at auction. That tells you just how special these cars are. 2021 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye. Right after that classic bruiser, Hogan's Garage takes us into the modern muscle era with the 2021 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye Widebody. Imagine a full-size family sedan that packs a supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi 5.8, producing a spine-compressing 797 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque. That's nearly 800 horsepower in a car you can take to the grocery store. Hulk Hogan didn't just buy this one. It was gifted to him, and he wasted no time showing it off on social media. Parked there in pitch black with carbon black wheels and red Brembo brake calipers, ready to terrorize Florida highways. This monster gets from 0 to 60 in just 3.6 seconds, and if you've got enough open road, it'll keep pulling until it hits 203 miles per hour, making it the world's fastest 4-door muscle car. Quarter mile? It'll chew through it in 10.6 seconds at 129 miles per hour, straight off the showroom floor. Some folks might argue a Charger isn't a real muscle car because it has 4 doors. Try telling that to a Hellcat Red Eye when it's screaming past you with its 2.7-liter supercharger cramming air down that Hemi's throat like a fire hose. The supercharger alone can generate up to 14.5 pounds per square inch of boost, and with the torque reserve system preloading the boost while managing fuel and spark, the Red Eye can launch like a cannon. Dodge didn't stop at the engine. The Red Eye's wide-body setup adds 3.5 inches of width, making room for those fat 305 by 35 ZR20 tires on 20 by 11-inch wheels that claw at the pavement with every throttle hit. When it comes time to rein in those 797 horses, the Red Eye's Brembo brakes with 6-piston front and 4-piston rear calipers clamp down on massive rotors, bringing the big Charger to a dead stop from 70 miles per hour in just 144 feet. This Charger's 8-speed automatic might not be a manual, but it's lightning quick and smooth, letting you focus on handling all that power without roasting your clutch every time you leave a red light. 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. The 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon is one of the fastest factory drag cars ever produced, capable of generating 840 horsepower when fueled with high-octane race gas. We're talking about a car that'll yank its front wheels off the ground and walk a wheelie straight down the strip, making even the Hellcat look like a house cat in comparison. Hulk's got himself a black Demon, a menacing choice that matches the car's personality. Now, Dodge didn't mess around with this one. The Demon comes with drag radials straight from the factory, which is pretty wild. However, those sticky Nitto NT05Rs are rated for a maximum speed of 160 miles per hour, so Dodge installed a governor to prevent owners from exceeding the limit at high speeds. Hogan, being Hogan, wasn't about to let that stand in his way. He swapped out the drag radials for tires that could handle higher speeds, removed the governor, and set his sights on the magic number, 203 miles per hour. Hogan hit Facebook, telling fans, "I figured why his Demon was shutting down." There's even footage out there of Hogan getting those new tires fitted, prepping the Demon to chase that 200-mile-per-hour dream. Later, the car took on the Johnny Bomer Proving Grounds in Florida, running flat out with that supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 howling as it blew past the 200-mile-per-hour mark, showing that this Demon is more than a marketing stunt. It's the real deal. The Demon is also built for the drag strip, with a quarter-mile time of 9.65 seconds at 140 miles per hour, which is pure madness for a street-legal production car. Dodge even includes the $1 Demon crate for folks who want to unlock the car's full potential, with a new engine controller, skinny front drag wheels, and tools to prep the car for the strip. Inside, it's stripped down to save weight. But you can add the passenger seat and rear seats back for $1 each if you want to take your buddies on a thrill ride. With adjustable dampers to help transfer weight to the rear on launch, and an 8-speed automatic transmission with a trans brake, it's designed to eat up drag strips and spit out quarter-mile times that'll leave even the most powerful Mustangs and Camaros in its rearview mirror. 1973 Plymouth Barracuda. Last on our list of Hulk Hogan's muscle car stash is his 1973 Plymouth Cuda, because this thing still flexes even when parked. You got that classic E-body silhouette, still looking mean from the curb, with its wide stance and aggressive profile that had been turning heads since it first hit the streets in 1970. The grille on this bad boy retained its new for '72 styling, featuring distinctive headlamps, sharp side markers, and the iconic round tail lamp treatment in the rear. You could spot one of these from a block away, and you just knew it meant business. Now, due to the federal safety standards introduced in 1973, Plymouth had to enhance the bumpers, so they added thick rubber bumper guards with chrome mounts and full-width steel reinforcements. The front bumper had to handle a 5-mile-per-hour impact, and the rear had to deal with 2.5-mile-per-hour hits, so the engineers moved the bumpers out a bit and filled in the gaps, giving it a tougher, squared-off look while still keeping that unmistakable Cuda attitude. Hulk's Cuda is the sportier variant, not just the base Barracuda, so it came standard with those bucket seats you want in a real muscle car, and under that performance-styled hood, you're looking at the optional 340 V8. Underneath, you had a heavy-duty torsion bar front suspension and a leaf spring rear suspension, power front disc brakes, and a standard 3.23 to 1 axle ratio. Hulk's Cuda may likely be sporting the performance axle package with the 3.55 geared sure grip rear, ensuring those burnouts are even easier when you leave the car show with the crowd watching. Which of Hulk Hogan's muscle cars would you take for a spin first? Drop your pick in the comments below. And if you loved this peek inside the Hulkster's garage, hit that subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss our deep dives into the world's wildest celebrity car collections. Until next time.